Not too bad. We have with us legendary racing car driver and was a stuntman in Mad Max, Phil Brock. G'day, Phil.
How you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah.
That's all right.
I did a bit more than just Mad Wax.
Well, you did too, yes. So we want to elaborate a bit about that?
Oh, not a lot, but I probably did about 30 or 35 movies over the years, little bits and pieces of driving here and there. But started off with Crawford Productions, doing all their Homicide Division 4 and that sort of stuff, which is where I met Dave Egby, of course, the DOP. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So what about your racing career? How'd you go with that?
Pretty good, except I had a brother of mine who was fairly good. And
What was his name, by the way?
I used to call him Pedro.
Pedro. Oh,
It was easier than saying Peter, because then people look around going, "Oh, Peter Brock." Yeah.
Yes, legendary Peter Brock.
Yeah. Oh, look, he was a pretty amazing driver, I must admit. But I used him a couple of times doing film work at Hopeless, because he was racing the whole time, and where the camera was, he didn't care. It was all about what the line was going through these corners, and he'd just do his own thing, Whereas film work, as I learnt pretty early on, it's all about what the camera sees, and that's where you put the car and what have you, which is a different discipline, but every bit as enjoyable. Great.
Good stuff.
I think meeting you is fantastic, and what you've done and what you've seen, what you've been through, and your brother, of course. You guys are Australian trilogy, I reckon. And for example, we're talking Mad Max. I mentioned before to you about the famous chicken scene with Grant Page. Did you want to talk about that for a bit?
Well, look, I guess looking back on it now, probably the most amazing thing was I knew of Grant, but I never actually worked with him prior to that. And if you think back at it now, you go, here he is, got to drive this car down the white line and not move. And there's a bloke coming the other way, and we're both doing around about 90 miles an hour, like miles an hour, because that's what we had to do with that show to make it look authentic. And he doesn't know me. Now, if he did know me, I don't think he would have done it, because I was a bit of a lad at times. But to sit there and not move, right, and let me do a handbrake turn around him at that speed would have been so difficult. I don't know if I could have done that part of it.
So which car were you driving?
I was driving Mel's car. I was the Interceptor.
Oh, fantastic. That is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, look, it was fantastic. And the first three times, unfortunately, at the end of the shot, and Dave, he had the camera. Sorry, so he's on the camera looking down the white line. Yeah. I go and pass him and drive down the white line, do the handbrake around Grant, who's coming the other way. Mm. And the first three times, Dave said, no, Grant's moved slightly. Yeah. And that can't happen, because the Night Rider's not moved for anyone. I mean, the guy's right. A bit of a schizo, a bit. So he had to just stay in line. So after the third time, I got out, coming back past Grant, and went and said, Grant, if you fucking move once more, mate, we're dead. Because I'm getting closer every time. Because you always try to improve on what you did. I'm thinking, I could get a little bit closer, stay a little bit longer before I do it and what have you. Never really thought about, like, hey, this is getting scary, but I just said, but if we do hit, it won't be nice.
It won't be pretty. not at 90 miles an hour.
No, well, that's it. Well, we're both doing 90. It was, but that was, without a doubt, the hardest shot I've ever done, because there's just no room for error in some ways.
It's absolutely iconic. I mean, that scene, and that started off, Quentin Tarantino mentioned about that scene, how much the Australian, scene of stunts and that, he's just inspired by that stuff. And you guys started all this stuff way back when. Pretty cool.
Well, I mean, at the time, you're not thinking about that, but fortunately, I guess we're out in the middle of nowhere, and we had some location people who disregarded all the rules, and so we could. I shouldn't say that too much here, I suppose, but it was just fair dinkum. And George would sort of come up and say, "Hey, here's the shot. This is what I want," and he'd walk away. I'm sure Grant, myself, and Dave and whatever, we'd work out the sequence of speed and all that sort of stuff that we do. And then when we're ready, we just tell George, we're ready for a rehearsal type thing, but hey, shoot it. Because a lot of times that's your best work you do. Anyway, and so we'd do that, and George would either like it or want to change it or whatever. But we had sort of free reign. It's just as long as you didn't bend a car, which is, I guess looking back, that was in some ways the thing we get so proud of. They had no money.
No, low budget.
Oh yeah, and you know, so you're still giving it all. You're thrashing the car as much as you can, but doing it within the limits of getting that shot done.
And how did it feel driving the actual original black Bob Interceptor? Because like I've got a replica thing, which is cool, but you've driven the original, and they reckon it was pretty rough around the edges. How did it drive?
It wasn't bad, but it was a Falcon. And I'm a Holden man.
Yeah, of course.
But actually, no, look, that and also the MFP cars that Mel drove, because I did that driving as well. They were all actually nice cars. They were decently prepared and that sort of stuff. Nothing overboard. They just made sure they were good. And but at the time, whether it was the black one or the earlier MFP car, didn't mean anything because it just drove. It was a V8 Falcon. Yeah. And that was when you just did your drive.
That handbrake. Sorry, Peter.
I was just going to say, what other stunts did you do in the movie? I know you did the yellow one with the Knight Rider, but did you do the scene chasing the toe cutter
on the
bike? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the chap's named Pye who actually wrote it, and they said it was a fairly long run that we had because they had a couple of stationary cameras and that there. So it was a few kilometres, but I can't remember exactly how that worked. But anyway, so we did the first run. At the end, I said, "No, mate, get fair dinkum. This is bullshit. I'll drive away, have a cigarette. Oh no, but I'd blow you off." I said, "You want to make a bet? You go flat out and let's just see if you can get away from me." And he couldn't. And of course, down the straight bits, he would get away a bit. And in the corners, and I'd round him up. And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, bloody pass the bugger if he slows that anymore." And like we were sort of half racing, but it worked for the shot because you had to go flat out.
And it was an awesome shot too, like basically sitting right up the arse of the bike, going around that corner before he gets planted into the truck. Awesome shot, mate.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm thinking, I'm pretty safe, but he's not looking too good on the bike. If we have trouble, he's the one in trouble, not me.
Yeah, that's it. Did you have anything to do with the caravan stunt, or was that all Grant Page?
There's a few of us here. We just helped set it up. All the rubbish inside the van, we were putting whatever you could think of, just hanging it in there so that Grant could just run up to the ranch and just drive through. At the end of it, it just explodes all this crap around us. Probably lunches and all sorts of stuff in there, probably.
It was an awesome scene.
Yeah, well, look, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's great. You got anything for that?
I was going to ask that. That's I'm not sure that scene where, Mad Max and across the Kirks Bridge with the bikers go off the edge and does the full 180 turn there. Was that yourself or was that Grant Page? Who was driving the car at the time?
I was doing that. And I don't want to sound disrespectful at all. Grant was not a great driver. That's not what he did. His stunt history was all physical stuff.
Jumping off cliffs on fire and what a legend, by the way.
Absolute legend. R.I.P. Grant. Yeah,
absolute legend for
awesome.
Mad
bloke.
as a snake.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, you got to be.
Mad as a cut snake.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, he didn't have great eyesight, Grant. But look, his driving was okay, but not as a stunt driver. Yeah. I mean, the stuff I did with him was stuff that I did around him. Yeah. As long as he was a static object, it worked okay.
So is that 180 turn, which is iconic in Mad Max, where the bikes can go over the edge, goes up there, does a full, and then takes off, snakes up down the road, just legendary. Was that one take, or was it how did that go?
We would have shot it a couple of times if they would have moved the camera, probably, because I think most times we only have one camera fly and stuff. Could have been two. The crew guys would tell you more about that. But also, I learnt with my Crawford's days where Crawford Productions started, and that was the only company in Australia who started doing series TV's work. So all the crews, they were learning like everyone else was. And just to start off where I started in getting in the film industry, I got a job in there just as a runner to taking stuff out to set. Because the guy I was working for in motorsport, a good friend of his, was the producer of Homicide. So I got into it there. And so I went out to set a few times and I'd see a bit of so-called stunt work and I'd come back, I'd whinge about it going, they're hopeless. That's what it. I know who you got. And they tended to be retired policemen who had some nervous bloody drama. And I reckon they did. Because they drove like they had no idea what they were doing.
So we're talking about this crazy stuff. Growing up with Pete, your brother, you young kids in the paddocks just doing crazy stuff. Is that how it all come about?
Yeah, but I probably always say umbrage is sort of doing crazy stuff. It's like people doing burnouts. I sit there and go, your grandmother could do that. I mean, seriously, it's not hard. There's no skill. It's easy. But Pete was quite young, and he was about 11 or 12, something like that. Dad had bought an old Austin 7 from, and Pete cut the body off it with an axe virtually and got rid of all that extraneous stuff. And he used to run it near our parents' place, a place called Arthur's Creek, which is well out of Melbourne. But they're all dirt roads there. Because you go, what would you go on the bloody on the paddocks for? Because all that does is damage your car. But on the roads, at least there was some decent surface to run on. So that's where we sort of learnt that. And then Dad also bought an old, I think it was about a 32 DeSoto. I learned in that because I grew tall reasonably young, so I could see over the dash on that. So I was allowed to drive the DeSoto. But that was a little bit more on the paddocks because it was so big and heavy, it was too big to get on half the roads there. But that's sort of where we learned the basic skills.
Incredible stuff. It really is. It's what can I say? Pete, do you have any more questions?
Legend, mate.
Yeah.
Legend. What else can you say?
Yeah.
Really?
No, we're on it.
Legend and top bloke.
And 45th Mad Max anniversary is coming up very soon, September, I believe. And it's going to be, for the remaining Mad Max actors and stuntmen and crew and all the legends, going to go and celebrate and be there and just pay our homage because, as unfortunately we're all getting older, we're losing our good friends one by one, as you know.
Oh, look, everyone involved. I remember hearing whispers during the times I was out on the Mad Max set. Where when money was really tight, and what the words that came back to me was mainly going that when some of the guys saw the footage that was coming through, they were just going, "No, hang on, this looks really good. We'll hang around," which is so good. But they were just look. A lot of us luck is it to get the right people in the crew who just get on with each other and just get on with the job. And listen and learn and what have you. It was when you look back at it now, you go, well, it's awful simple. We just went out and did it. But it isn't that simple. But you can only do it if you got the right people there, and it worked out fantastically.
Everyone goes to every last cause, whatever it takes to get the job done. Over the line, low budget, of course. And here we are. Here we are today, 45 years later. Sensational.
I can't be 45 years. 15 years, I'll give it. That's all.
Just got to ask you one more question. You actually did some stuff in Thunderdome too, didn't you? Did you get asked to do stuff in Thunderdome? Mad Max Thunderdome?
Max 3?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I did about 3 weeks up at Cooper Pedy. So I was actually in one of the buggies and we had a camera on it.
Yeah.
So I was like a mobile camera and I'd start at the back and going through the other guys that were there.
Oh, yeah.
But comparing that to Mad Max 1, Mad Max 1 was so much better.
Yeah.
Because we had people who knew what they were doing. There's quite a few people that I worked with on 3 that scared the hell out of me. Because you're doing this thing where you've got to be going through these cars and they do these stupid things. It's like driving down the roads. Seriously, going, you go down, someone just turned left in front of you and you'd have to either crash into them or go with them and let them pass and go again. And you think, oh. But I mean, I love doing it. And I met Mel on that one, which was really nice. Yeah, cool. But that was good. Look, and the cars were fantastic and that sort of stuff. But it didn't have the same feeling that one did. Yeah.
No, good stuff, mate. Well, thanks very much for joining us today, Phil.
Great to meet you,
wrap
mate.
this
Thank
up,
you
mate.
so much.
And,
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thank
and
you.
hopefully we'll see you at the 45th, mate.
Yeah,
And yeah,
go Collingwood.